You might be struggling with money right now, with not charging what you're worth. You're probably undercharging, or you're afraid to raise your prices. You feel like you don't make enough money and you're constantly struggling to make ends meet, and you're tired of this. And especially if you're a Latina living in the US or living in Europe or in another country, and you want to make more money, especially with your business. But this can also apply with your career or your job. I want to share this topic because this has been a crucial theme in my life, and I'm going to share a few things that have helped me along the way. So I'm Caro Mendieta. I'm a professional artist and a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. And sit down, grab your tea, or if you're driving, pay close attention because this is really going to help you. So I used to charge very low for my art. And this is going to really help you, especially if you're an artist or if you're a yoga teacher, or if you're someone that has a career or has a business that most people considered to be not prestigious or something that unnecessary. And I grew up with that belief. I grew up with the belief that art is not easy to sell, that artists starve, that people are not going to pay for art, that all these beliefs around art. And it really took a long time for me to actually decide that I was going to be an artist. It was actually until last year, well, in 2021 is when I decided to enroll in an art program, but I was still doubting my art. But honestly, I fully decided to dive deep into my art business this year because I was still doubting about it last year. And I was trying to find other things. I was letting my focus be pulled from different directions with the shiny object syndrome. So let's start with that. Let's start with the shiny object syndrome. And if you're a business owner and you want to make money with your passions and you're undercharging, it's not about your product. So don't focus on a new thing that could help you make more money, because that is only going to pull you back further. It's going to stop you from achieving your goals. It's going to stop your momentum. So it's not about what you sell. It's about you. So if you're not selling or if you're underselling your work, it's not because of what you're selling. It's about your mindset. So first things first, focus on you. And then you can decide what you're selling. Because a lot of the times we stop selling what we love because we think that we can sell that. But it's not that. It's your belief around that. And I'm living proof about that because I've been able to sell my art for a lot more than I ever thought I could sell my art for. And there's a lot of people that I know, even here in the US, that sell their art for very, very low compared to how I sell it. So it's not also about being Hispanic or coming from another country. That we have an unfair advantage because of that. But it's not about what you sell, okay? So let's clear that out. The moment you start believing in you and that you can actually sell whatever you want, obviously there's some things that you need to work. You have to test the market, see if there's demand for your product, all these things, right? But if you are passionate about a subject, that subject will sell because you're passionate about it. Maybe not in the way that you thought. You can sell your theme or your topic in different ways. And that's where you test it, you test the market and see if there's demand. But if you're really passionate about that, and it will sell for the amount that you believe you're worth. So if you believe that your product, or if you believe that you are not worthy enough, then you're going to put the price that you believe that you're worth. So that's a harsh thing to recognize. And that was something very harsh on me to accept. To accept that I didn't value myself enough. And it doesn't matter if, for example, if I'm not valuing myself, if I have low self-worth, and you take my advice or you take someone's advice and they're like, you need to charge more, right? And then you're like, if you say so, but I really don't feel it. Let's say you raise your prices. You're probably not going to sell anything. Why? Because you don't believe in it. So it starts with your belief. It starts with what you believe you're worth. No matter who tells you what to charge. I used to have a teacher that would tell the students how much she thought they could sell their art for. And obviously the students would follow her advice, right? And it's okay. She has a lot of experience in the art world, but that never really resonated with me, because even though I didn't have maybe 10 years of experience selling my art, I knew that my art was very valuable. And I charged way more than many of the people that maybe had longer time than me. And that never stopped me. And I was clearly making sales, and I was clearly proving my hypothesis, or whatever I thought I'm gonna try it, and because I believe it, and it sold. So it's not really about what the experts tell you, it's about you. So you are the most important thing in this equation. So don't take my advice. You have to analyze, you have to sit with yourself, you have to meditate and be like, how much am I worth? How much is my product worth? How much knowledge and experience do I have? So when I was in Nicaragua, I used to sell my art for $25. And I remember the first time I did an exhibition there, and I was so excited. I did a party, I had DJs play, I had a local channel interview me. We were doing it at this fancy restaurant, and it got packed. A lot of people showed up. So it was a successful night. However, my art, it was displayed, it was cool, people saw it. I only sold 2 pieces, and those 2 pieces I sold for $25 or $40, I remember. It was a small piece like that. That took me so long to create. And I remember one of my friends came to me, and he was one of my friends who who gave me some of the wood that I painted my art on. He used to have this wood workshop, or this wood business, build kitchen cabinets and really fancy, cool things in Granada, where he lived. So he had leftover wood, and he gave me, 10 pieces. He had one of his workers create the round pieces, and it was really fine wood. And I didn't even know what type of wood it was, and I was like, whatever, I'm gonna paint it. And I sold it for $25. It was like fine wood. It was like so good. But I didn't believe in myself. And I remember he came to me and he's like, how much? He was like, oh, congrats, you sold a piece. How much you sell it for? And I was like, oh, I sold it for $40. And he was like, confused. He was like, oh, I thought you were gonna sell it for more, but congrats, he was being supportive. And then it stuck on me, and I was stoked that I sold 2 pieces, but I wanted to sell more. And I didn't understand that at the time, but art, especially art, has a lot to do with the perception of the value. So if you're selling your work for super cheap, people are gonna think that that's super cheap, and they're not gonna see the value in it. So it all starts with how you present yourself and how you present your product, okay? If you present your product like, it's whatever, I made it, and I see a lot of artists or people like show their products, this is whatever, you have to make me feel something. And if you're really excited about what you're selling, then people are gonna feel that, and they're gonna want that. So that was that time, and I was like, oh my God, now I get it. People were not buying because they didn't see it as valuable. And the 2 people that bought, they just wanted to support me. So if you're a Latina or a Latino, you understand. We come from a place where things are valued way less. Minimum wage is very little. Like at Nicaragua, minimum wage is $300, I think. And the most of the time that I worked there, I was working at a call center that I made $500 a month. So I had this idea of money very, very low. When I decided to sell my art after my Yopo experience, and I have a video about that, I can share the link. Yopo is it's a plant ceremony. So I took that, and because that I was looking for my purpose, and this plant showed me my purpose, which is art. So after that, I decided to pursue art and, sell my art. So when I decided to become an artist, I was selling my mandalas. I would sell like small wooden pieces for $25 to $40. I was teaching workshops, but I was making around $400 to $500 a month. So my perception of money, or the amount that I was able to make, was very, very low. For me, that someone paid me $100 to do a workshop, that was like, wow, that was incredible. So I had a very low ceiling of the amount that I could make. And that changed when I moved to the States. When I had my first job in Miami, I was making $1,400, and that was still low. But then I went to Roatan, I opened a juice bar, and then I came to the US. When I came to the US after I started my art business in Nicaragua, and there was a political conflict, I was broke. So I needed to make money. And I went and I came to California and I started trimming weed. And I was making a good amount of money just to get myself by. I had put art on the side, but I started making more money. I started making $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and I started to see the amount of money in my hands. I had never seen that much amount of money in my hands. So having that cash in my hands was like a huge explosion in my mind of like, wow, I can make this much money. And that was the first time that it opened my mind into believing that I could make more money. But then when I started living in California, I started seeing that things were more expensive. So obviously my amount that I had to make had to adjust. I no longer could live with the mindset of making $500 a month because I couldn't live with $500 in California. I had to increase that amount, and I had to force myself to increase that amount. So this is where Latin Americans need to push themselves into believing that they can make more money. So if you're a Latino or you're living in Latin America, you have to surround yourself or go to places where things are more expensive, where people that have more money hang out, because that will push you into seeing things and seeing your perception of money in a different way. Because if you're constantly shrunk and constantly wanting to be on that limit of your ceiling of the amount that you can make, you won't see anything else. You'll stay in that roof, under that ceiling. So you have to think about money in levels. You have to think like, okay, ask yourself this question: what's the biggest amount that I've made in a month? And that's gonna be limit, your ceiling. So if the most that you've made in a month is 500 or 1,000, that's your ceiling. So you have to push yourself a little bit more, and you have to push yourself into, let's try to make more. Let's open our minds into making 1,200 or 1,500 or 2,000 a month. And the more you open that ceiling, you push yourself, that ceiling will break, and then you'll move to the next level. And that's the only thing that I see with, it's unfair, I'd say, the unfair advantage of Americans, for example, because Americans have always lived in that environment where things cost more. So they're programmed to make more money, because a coffee here, for example, in Tahoe is $9, just a cup of coffee. So living in Tahoe, also in Lake Tahoe, has pushed me into believing that I can make more money, that there's more money circulating around me, and there's more people that have more money around me. So infusing yourself in that environment allows you to see the possibilities that you can make more money, because there's money circulating around you. So it has also pushed me into believing that I can make more. So if you're a Latin American, that's one of the things that I would recommend, is that you start to look at places around you where there's more money. Go to stores, go to restaurants, go to different things where more money is circulating, and that will start to change your perception around money. Another thing that's very important is your beliefs around money. So if you have negative beliefs around money, no way, you're not gonna make money. And that was something that I've been working on for so many years. I've taken so many programs. It's a constant thing. It's not something that you're gonna do just once. It's constantly observing, because sometimes we have so many programs ingrained in our subconscious that come from past generations. And that's where we also have an unfair advantage from Americans or people like that come from wealthy families. If we come from families that have gone through war, through hunger, or through poverty, most likely we'll have those imprints in our subconscious mind and in our DNA. So it's going to be a little bit harder, more challenging for us to release those blockages. So understanding where your history comes from, where you come from, will help you understand where these limiting beliefs come from. So you have to observe first the ones that are conscious, okay? So you make a list of the limiting beliefs that you have around money consciously, the ones that you constantly think about. If you talk bad about rich people, you have a negative belief around money. If you believe that money makes people evil, or if money changes people, that's a negative belief around money, because money doesn't change people. Money amplifies what a person already is. So if a person gets money and is corrupt, that doesn't mean that money corrupted them. It means that they were corrupt all along. Because if someone is grounded in their foundations, in their morals, in their ethics, they will want to do good things for humanity, for other people. There's plenty of rich people that do wonderful things for other people, and they give away their money. There's so many good things happening in the world. Unfortunately, we don't see it because the news only focuses on the negative. But there's so many wealthy people that help other people. There's also many wealthy people that don't help other people and just want to create more chaos and keep people as slaves. So you have to change that perception. It's not that money changes people, it's that it amplifies what people already are. So if you have negative beliefs around people that make money, or you talk bad about people that make money, that unfortunately is not going to help you with making money. You're literally creating a wall that's going to repel money from you. So you have to eliminate those walls. Think of these walls as invisible layers around you. And every belief that you have is a wall that builds upon a wall and a wall. And you might have a thick ass wall of beliefs. So you have to get rid of those beliefs one by one so that there's no walls and you start making money. So that's super important to understand. Look at the beliefs that you have and also the emotions that it gives you. So if you feel bad that someone else got a promotion or someone else making more money, that is something to note and be like, there's a belief here that I need to work on. Maybe you feel envious or jealous of other people that travel or do other things or are making more money than you. Those are hints, those are things that are showing you that you have negative beliefs around money, or that you believe that you can't get that. So everything that we see around us is just a reflection of what we're capable of achieving. So if the universe is showing you someone that has a lot of money, it's not showing it to you to show you and be like, look, you can't do that. No, it's showing it to you so that you can see the possibility that you are capable of achieving that. So those are blessings. And what you need to do is you need to bless that person. You need to send them love and congratulate that person, because most likely that person worked their ass off to get to where they are right now. So that's very important to note. Also is to learn the history of your family. I did not do this before, and I've started to do it now. I've started to ask my mom and my grandma about their history, because that will give me an idea of where their consciousness was when they were experiencing these things and where the pains come from. Because this generation, we, the millennials, or if you're Gen Z or whatever, we are here to heal all these traumas because they didn't have the resources to do it. So fortunately, we have to do it. So understanding your family's history or your country's history is going to give you an idea of where these imprints, and imprints are emotional, energetic, let's say like blocks that imprint in your field, on your aura or in your subconscious mind, okay? So think of these black clouds that stay there in your invisible bubble. Let's imagine our aura to be an invisible bubble, and let's imagine these imprints as clouds, dark clouds that are stuck there. And that is passed down generationally. So understanding that and bringing light to those things and acknowledge them and releasing them is going to allow you to remove these blocks. So that has really helped me. And there's plenty of modalities or techniques that you can use. Hypnosis is great for releasing blockages and emotional imprints passed down through generations, because you observe what's going on, you tap into a past life, most likely an ancestor, and you can release the emotional imprint that person has. And you, in a way, you honor your ancestor as well, and you tell the story of your ancestor that was never told, that was never seen by anyone. Maybe these were secrets that they had, or maybe these were pains that they carried for so long that no one knew. They never had the opportunity to tell anyone. Imagine 50 years ago, women couldn't even open a bank account without the permission of her husband. So imagine 100, 200, 300 years ago, how oppressed women were and how neglected women were, where they couldn't even share their emotions. So they were holding on to so many emotions and so many thoughts that never they never were able to share. So now we're able to open those archives and open those memories and give them the opportunity to share their story and to honor their story and to release that pain. And as you release those ancestors, you're also releasing yourself and you're removing those blockages from your life. Ooh, so that is one big one. Oh, this is getting really good. I love this topic so much. When I started selling my art, I started from 25 and then I moved to the US. And in 2021, when I started my art program and I decided to become a professional artist, the first painting I sold was for 100, 150. And I was shaking. I was so scared. But the program recommended me to start selling my art after I graduated, but I did not want to wait. I wanted to start selling now and start to get used to selling. So I started selling for 150. That was the most I had sold. And that was 4 years ago. And then slowly I started to observe my beliefs around me and around my worth. And I realized that even though I had just started this art program, I hadn't been selling for only 1 year or only 3 or only 6 months. I had been selling art and teaching mandala workshops for a while. Also, I realized that I had a lot to give. Not only with the skills that I had, because at that time I didn't have that great of a skill. I was just starting to paint realistic and I didn't really understand how to paint well. But my story and everything that I had gone through and all the skills that I had learned, all the certification that I took, that carried a lot. That was a lot of value that I was giving. So I realized that and I made a list of my accomplishments and a list of things and challenges that I was able to overcome. So that's one thing that I recommend you to do, is to make a list of all your accomplishments and all the difficult moments and challenges you've gone through and how you've been able to overcome them, because that's going to show you how valuable you are. And it's going to improve in your self-esteem and in the way that you see yourself and be like, damn, I'm good at this stuff, you know? I'm good at this shit. Like, I'm really good. I'm a badass. I've gone through all these things. Fuck, I really need, excuse my language, but I needed to express it in a more powerful, way. Maybe like, fuck, like I've done all these things. I've gone through all these things. I can't lower myself to less because I have so much value to give people. I have so many lessons to share. So it's not about the painting, it's about me. So when I started to see it that way, I started to infuse my art with that energy, and I started to see that people really enjoyed what I was painting because they enjoyed me. They enjoyed what I was offering energetically. I wasn't even explaining or telling it, but it was because I brought awareness to those parts of me that I had pushed to the side or I had thought they weren't important. So when you bring light to those things, you're like, wow, I'm actually valuable. I have a lot to give. And that's another exercise that I would recommend to do. It's like, what can you give someone? What value are you giving people? And that usually comes from your challenges and the things you've been able to overcome, to the things that you share. You know, like I'm sharing here, I'm sharing so much of my information, so much. I could be charging for this class, for this episode, but I'm not. You know, I'm like generously giving. And the more you give and the more you share, people will see that you have a lot of value to give. So they won't question your prices. They'll be like, hell yeah, like I want to buy from her. So I didn't know that until now. People were behind the energy that I was emanating. It wasn't really about my skills. It wasn't even about the quality of the art. It was about me. And that was reflected through my art, through the energy that I infused in the art. So people started to see that it was valuable. And I started to sell for 150, and then slowly I started to increase my prices. And this is something that I recommend that you do. When I started to sell my art, I was like, okay, I know I could sell it for more, but I'm gonna start to sell it at this price where I feel comfortable. So you have to feel comfortable where you're selling, but every time you're gonna push yourself a little bit. So when I sold it for 100, I was like, okay, now I can sell it for 150, and I know I could sell it. I know I'm worth that. Or you can sell it for a little bit under and be like, okay, I know I could sell it for 150, but I'm going to sell it for 135 just so that it sells. And that starts to give you confidence, and it starts to build your confidence. Your confidence is like a muscle, especially when you start charging for things that you create or for your offerings or services. It's like a muscle, and you start to, work on it and work on it and work on it. And then you start building confidence, and you're like, this is no longer worth 150. It's not worth 200. So now I'm going to start to charge for 200. And then slowly someone pays 200. And now that is validation and proof that that is worth what it is. Whenever someone pays for something that you offer, that's a validation that that's the price that it is. If no one buys that, then that means that it's not worth that, or there's no validation to prove that that is worth that. Especially with art, because art is not something that, it's not like a computer that it cost me whatever to X amount of dollars to create, and I'm gonna sell it for $1,000, so I'm gonna make $300, and I can charge it for that because of the competition and those ranges. It's not like that. It's very different. It's all about perception and the amount that the artist wants to charge. So there's advantages and disadvantages in that. And one of the best advantages is that you can charge whatever you want. Obviously, you're not gonna charge $20,000 if you just started. That's nonsensical. However, I've seen people that have done that. I don't know if they've ever sold, but you can do whatever you want. But most likely people won't buy. So you have to kind of like be realistic, but at the same time, be realistic with you and be okay and just be like, this is how much people are charging. This is how much I feel comfortable charging. Let's charge that for a while. Let's get confidence in that, and then we'll increase it. The moment that I sold my first painting for $2,500, I was like amazed. I couldn't believe that I could sell something for so much. I had sold 2 pieces for $2,000 total, but each one was valued less. So that was a big accomplishment. I was like, wow, I sold this for $1,000 and this other for $1,000, like 2 or something like that. It was like one $1,500 and the other $500. And I was like, wow, I made $2,000 in one day just for my art. But that took a lot of courage. It also took a lot of time. And when I launched that collection, it was a collection of portals of my inner realms. And I can put that link so that you can look at it. When I created that collection, it wasn't really about the images. I really put all the energy of abundance, of spirituality, of wisdom and healing that I could put. I put all my story and all my accomplishments in those pieces. So whenever I was painting, I was meditating before painting, especially the 2500 one, which is in Jaw's Kingdom. It's about a lion. I even undersold that painting because I knew that painting was worth way more. It was probably worth $5,000 and I sold it for $2,500. But I knew that I couldn't sell it for $5,000 because it was way too big of a gap. I couldn't think about selling $5,000. I was like, that's too large. I don't know if anyone will buy. So I wanted to build that confidence. And I was like, I've sold pieces for $2,000. I think I can push myself to $2,500. I think I can sell it for that. And even if I don't sell it, I don't care because I love the piece so much, like I could keep it forever. So it was hard for me to let go of that piece because there was so much energy on that piece. And I remember creating it and meditating and infuse it with healing light and healing love and with wisdom that I felt like I was channeling information through that piece. So I knew that those pieces contained a lot of information because information is energy and energy can be infused in objects. So if you put all your energy in an object and you infuse it with abundance and love and gold and all these things, like it's going to be felt and people are going to feel it. So I felt like these pieces were sacred and I didn't care. And that came from my belief. That came from my energy and my mind of the perception that I had for that piece. So there was no way that anyone could pay me less for that or take it for $500. No way. I gave it that value and I showed it to people whenever I talked. When I did my exhibition, I spoke like these pieces were worth so much money, and they sold because of the energy and what I put on these pieces. So it all starts with your mind. And if you believe in something, if you believe that something is worth that, if you believe that you are worth more, you are going to attract people that are going to match what you're worth. And that brings me to this other point. I used to get people all the time that would complain about the price at the beginning. I was like, why do people complain about the price? They tell me that it's too expensive, that art is not worth that blah, blah, blah. And you know why they appeared? Because I didn't believe that they were worth that. I thought that they were too expensive. So obviously, the universe was matching me with those people that reflected what was going on in my inside. So I had people that thought that my paintings were too expensive, that they weren't willing to pay for that. But that's because they were reflecting my beliefs. I never get anyone, and I won't say never ever, but in the past 2 or 3 years, I haven't had anyone that told me that my paintings were too expensive. Maybe some of them think about it, but they don't tell me when I give them the price, because I'm not vibrating on that energy or frequency that I think that my paintings aren't worth that. I know what my paintings are worth. I know what I'm worth. So the moment you start to change what you believe inside yourself, you're gonna bring clients that match that. You're gonna bring clients that are willing to pay $4,000, $5,000. I literally just had a mural where I was paid a significant amount, more than I'd have ever made. And it was around the $5,000 mark, but I've never made that in my life. And for some people, that's gonna be very little. For experienced muralists, that's very little. But for Nicaraguan artists, that's a lot of money. $5,000, $4,500, that's what I used to make in 8 months. I think 8 months. Imagine that. That's crazy. So me being able to get to this point where I'm able to charge that amount of money, $2,500, $3,000 for my art, it's like amazing. And it feels so satisfying because I'm living proof that I can sell my art, especially art. And I feel so satisfied to say that because fuck, it took so long for me to believe that. And I had so many people, so all these thoughts and negative feelings and negative words and voices tell me that art wasn't gonna make any money, that it wasn't gonna bring me anything. And being able to say, I've made $3,000 with my art, with one piece, it's unexplainable, it's amazing. But it took so long, it took so much self-worth, so much personal growth, spiritual growth, constantly reprogramming my mind, reprogramming my perception, the way that I see things, the way that I feel about things. So it's not just about what you think, it's about how you feel. Because you can think positive all the time, but if you don't feel like you're worth that, then you're not gonna be able to make that. Another important thing is to observe your feelings around your growth. Observing this has to do with your self-worth, with your self-esteem. Maybe you grew up in a place where you weren't seen, you weren't understood, so you probably felt like you were worthless. I had a hypnosis session where I found out that one of my main pains in my life was feeling unworthy. And one of those things came from an abandonment wound that I had from my mother. And if you're a woman, the mother reflects the amount of money that you make. So that's a correlation. And I was like, I feel unworthy because my mom abandoned me. So that means that I'm worthless. And that reflected in the amount that I could make, or the amount of money that I could charge for, because I had this wound with my mom, and I had also this wound with my father. With my father, I had to deal with the loyalty I had for him in working a business or a job that was prestigious, because he wanted me to be a dentist, and he never really thought that you could make money with art. So I had to heal those wounds. I had to heal the wounds that I had around pursuing this, and whatever everyone said, that I was crazy, that I was throwing my career away, that I was nuts, that I was whatever, everything people said. And all those things I had to release and remove. Which brings me to this point. It's like letting go of what people think or say. Sometimes I see friends that still don't believe that I can make money with art, or I see some of my family members that still don't see the value in art or in my business. And I don't care anymore. I'm like, that's your problem. I'm super good. I know I'll be amazing. And imagine how much I've created in just 3 years or 2 years, and how much I'm gonna make in 5 years or 10 years. Whatever, you can think whatever. You can keep working that 9 to 5 job. You can keep doing that thing that you hate, or you can keep, most of the time these people, some of them want the best for you, and some of them are just jealous or envious, and you have to have compassion for them, because most of them want what you want and want your courage, but they don't have the courage to take the steps that you have. So you have to really work on not caring what people say, because if you care about what people say about your business, you're gonna care about how much you're charged or how much you think you're worth. So you have to forget about that. You have to really connect with you and put yourself as a priority and be like, all right, I'm doing this for me. No one is paying my bills. None of them are paying for my car bills or my rent or my food. Who cares? I'm gonna sit down with myself. I'm going to meditate and feel the amount that I think that I am worth. And also brings me to this other point, is thinking big, thinking, how much do I want to make a month? What do I want to get? What are my dreams? What are my goals? Because the more that you open your mind into the possibility of getting more money, the more money will come too. And the more you will expand that part of you of attracting more and getting the opportunities that allow you to bring more of that, of what you want to get. If you're a Latina, and I'm creating this, and especially this is not for just Latinas or Latinos, this is for everyone, because I know Americans or European friends that struggle with this, because a lot of the people, there's not many countries that make a lot of money, like that have minimum wage or a decent life. It's not many countries. Most of the population in the world live in horrible conditions. So this point is crucial. If you're watching this, you're already privileged, and we don't have to take that for granted. I was privileged with the possibility to come to the US. I was privileged to have an education, to learn English. I was privileged to be where I am. I'm privileged even on my skin of being in a place where I'm a woman that can work. There's many countries where women cannot even work. So acknowledging that, and there's nothing wrong with being privileged. I know there's this thing about, oh, you're white privilege or all these, you're privileged, and people are starting to see it as something bad. And it's not really bad. It's actually acknowledge that and take advantage of that and be like, you know what, I'm actually privileged. I'm able to watch a video and get information. I'm able to get free information that is going to help me grow and learn the skills so that I can accomplish my dreams. So don't take it as something bad that you're privileged. Actually be like, okay, I was born with these tools. And if you believe in spirituality and reincarnation, a lot of us, we are giving a set of cards that we're dealt with. And you have to work with those cards, and you have to be like, okay, these were the hands that were given to me, so I'm gonna play the best that I can. So use that to your advantage and be like, what can I do to improve, to make more, to charge what I'm worth and what I feel like it's good in my body. And I'm gonna end it with this thing. You will charge based, and you will attract the people that are in the level of your journey, wherever your journey is. So if you start charging low for your business, for your services or products, you'll attract people that will match that amount. And that's totally fine. But there will be a moment where you will want to charge more, and you will start to see that your value is going to increase. And then those people that used to pay your service or your products before, they won't be a match for this new version that you are. And some of them are going to be like, she's charging too much. Or a lot of people judge around that of like, oh, I don't get why spiritual people charge so much. And they'll never get it. So don't waste your time trying to explain people why you charge what you charge. You know what? There's other people that that are charging that, why don't you go to them? And the moment that we start charging more and we move to the next level, we're opening the space for beginners to start charging small. So the moment that I start charging more for my art, let's say from the moment that I started charging for 150 for one piece, and I still charge 150 for other small pieces, right? But let's say if you have a product, a service, and let's say a hypnosis service, I do hypnosis. So I charge 150 for hypnosis. I'm a beginner, right? And I attract the people that can pay for that service. When I start charging $200, $300, $400 for my hypnosis or psychology or whatever session, then the beginners that charge 150, you're opening that space for them so that they can attract the people that can pay for that. And now you're opening yourself up for the people that can pay for your high ticket services. And I like to see it that way because we're always growing and opening up the levels for the people below us. Imagine if everyone charged the same thing. There would be so much competition. So that's why we have to see it that way. And there's nothing wrong with charging more. And that's something that you really have to look within yourself and be like, why am I triggered about this person charging so much? Why? And I had to deal with that because I used to be upset, and it would upset me when I saw someone charging $3,000 for a retreat or $10,000 for a yoga certification. I'd be like, who the hell does he think he is? Who the hell do they think they are? And I was like, why? I couldn't understand it. But now I understand it. I'm like, I get it now. I get it because that works in levels. And there's plenty of people that can pay for a $10,000 retreat. There's plenty of people that can pay for a $2,000 retreat. There's plenty of people that can pay for a $500 retreat. So it all depends on what you believe and what you want to get out of life. There's nothing wrong with wishing for things. There's nothing unspiritual for wanting material things. There's nothing wrong with wanting a better life or a better house or to travel. There's nothing wrong with that. And the more that you remove those beliefs around being dirty, that money is dirty, or that you're evil if you have money, or that it's unspiritual to make more money, the more that you release that, the more you will allow money to come to you. Because it's ironic that a lot of people want money, but they have all these beliefs against people that have money. It's completely ironic. It's like contradictory. So you have to remove those things from your mind, because being spiritual has nothing to do with the amount of money that you have. Because if you really understand spirituality, you see that God is in everywhere. Consciousness is in everywhere. So God created all of it. So if you know God or creator, source created everything, then you understand that God is everywhere. So it doesn't matter if it's in a Gucci or a Prada purse, or if it's in the rocks in nature. It's all created by God, and everything is spiritual. It doesn't change you, it just amplifies who you are. So you have to really remove those beliefs around it's bad to charge more. It's bad, or it's unspiritual. Question yourself and be like, why do I think that? Really, why do I think that? And you might be upset that you can't pay for it. That's probably one of the reasons that you're upset, is because you can't pay for it and you wish you had more money. And then you're kind of like resentful because you don't have that money and you can't go, unfortunately. But that has nothing to do with the person, it has to do with you. So it's tough to see it that way, because you get confronted with yourself and you're like, you know what? I'm the jealous one, I'm the envious one, I'm the resentful one, I'm the angry one. Maybe you're angry at the government, maybe you're angry at someone. Maybe someone stole from you, you know, all these things have a lot to do. But the more you release those blockages, the more you allow money to come to you. You allow money to come to you. And I'm no expert. I'm still working through this. I'm constantly working through this, because I know that I have so many things, not just my past traumas, but also my ancestors and the place that I grew up in, and all these beliefs that were just piled on, and I'm constantly clearing and removing, and the more that I do it, the more that I attract opportunities and better things for you. So that is all, my friends. I hope this really helped you. If you can, rewatch it again, take notes, And thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, hit the little bell on top so that you can get notified when I post new videos. Share it with someone you think might need it, and comment below which one you're gonna take action on right now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.